Hi, my name is Tony. I'm with Advantage Lifts. Today we're going to be installing a two-post. It's a 10,000-pound asymmetric lift. So you've seen it all packaged up. First thing you want to do is kind of get everything off of the packing crate and set on the floor close to where you're going to be putting it together. A handy tool, once again, to help you with this project would be go to any local rental store and rent one of these Genie material handling lifts. It handles the weight of these beams. It makes it a whole lot easier on your back. So you want to place where you want to put this two-post in your garage. If you're going to be at the very front of the garage and you've got a 2-foot workbench at the front, you want to be able to work in front of there and be in front of your car, you want to be anywhere from 12 to 13 feet from the wall to start your post. Today we're setting ours 10 feet away from the wall because we don't have a bench out in front. So before we stand these up, there's a couple things you can do to pre-assemble this to make it a little easier than standing on the ladder to do it. You have a crossbar. This is the clear floor model, so you have a crossbar that's going to be crossing at the top at 12 foot. You have a bracket over here that mounts to the top of the carriage, and you'll want to go ahead and put that on with your 4 bolts, get that all on, bolted up tight before you stand them up. It just makes it easier once you get them up in the ground, up in the air. Now we're ready to lift this up with the assist of our Genie. We've got it setting on some boards, and we'll just crank this up and walk it forward, and that'll stand our post right up. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. And just like that, we have them standing. Now we've got our post stood up. We have used a square to get our column square with where we're sitting in the garage. We're at the distance we need to be away from the wall. And so at this point, this is the power unit post. So we're going to go ahead, we've drilled the holes and we're anchoring this one in place. And you'll want to drill with a hammer drill with a 3/4 inch bit. And you'll want to have a shop vac available, because when you do the drilling, it's much easier to vacuum the dust out, the concrete dust, as you're drilling. Then you don't have a big mess on your floor, plus your hole will not be full of dust. And you want to at least drill 4 to 5 inches in the hole, or drill all the way through the concrete. Then whenever you're done with the lift or you want to move it, all you have to do is pound these into the sand below. Okay, when you use these anchors, you have a nail that goes in the top. So you take your nail, your nut flush with the top of the bolt, put your nail in it, and then get a sledgehammer, heavy enough hammer that you're going to drive this nail down in, and that will create the swedge starting to happen at the bottom of the bolt. But this nail will go down flush to the top of the bolt. Then you can tighten up your outside nut here. You want to torque that to 120 pounds. And so at this point, we're going to go ahead and plumb it. We're going to have a level. We're going to make sure that we're level front and back and side to side. You should have some shims inside your package to be able to shim that all up, and go ahead and torque this one down to your 120 pounds. This one will be set. Now, another thing you want to know, this, like I said a second ago, is the power unit 1. This is going to be on the right side of the lift. So meaning, if I'm driving the car in this direction, it's on the right side. The reason for that, most shops do this, because when I drive my car in, I get out on the left side. I can set my arms at this point. I walk around the car and I come to this side, set my arms. Now I can get up and just push the button without having to walk back around to the other side of the post. So a lot of times people like it on the right-hand side of the post. Now there's a little bit of pre-assembly you want to do on this crossbar before you get it up on top and have to work off of a ladder. You have your micro switch here that operates, so there's 2 bolts and a bracket. So you're going to put them on, and then put your bar in. And the way this micro switch works is when the car comes up, this is upside down, car comes up and pushes this, trips the switch, shuts the power off, you won't smash the top of the car to the crossbar. On the other end of this, there's a bolt, goes up from underneath, and you put the nut on the outside, and you got a plastic sleeve here that holds this as a gap between the pipe and the cross arm, and that will just hang, and you'll see when it's up on top how that all operates. But it's easier to do it now than on a ladder. So now we put it on here, we're going to raise it up and attach that to our top of our crossbar. Okay, that post is the other side is the one that we've got anchored down. This one is not anchored at this point. I'm putting the top piece on. We're not tightening it up. All we're doing is just putting the bolts in it to line it up so we know the distance of it. Just like so. We'll just put the nuts on the back side of it just to snug them up. Now we'll come to this post. We'll get it plumbed, get it squared, anchor it in, and then we'll know our bar's in the right spot to where we need to be. We want to be from outside of base plate to outside of base plate 135¼ inches, which right now we're setting at 135. So I need to bump that out just a touch at the bottom here, 1/4 inch, so that we're on our mark. So now we're 135¼ from outside of base plate to outside of base plate. We're square. Now we're going to drill our 6 holes and anchor this one down solid and plumb it to make sure it is level as well. See you in a minute. Okay, now we're at the time we're going to assemble our lock to the post, and this is something to do with the pin. You'll need a snap ring pliers. We're going to put the pin with the snap ring and a washer, insert this in. We're going to spacer with a washer, then the lock. See it? There it goes. Okay. Now we're going to go with another washer. All right, so washer, lock, your release, washer, and then we're gonna go with the spring. And the spring is gonna hook around this side and then go around the shaft, and then this is our tension part that will pull and set down on this bottom side. So I need an assist on this. Oh wait, I gotta put it on first, I'm sorry. So he's going to hold it in place, and then I'm going to take this and just bend it around, just like so. And then we have a washer and the snap ring. Just like so. And now the way you know it works is if I pull down on this, the lock opens. When I let go, the lock closes. That's the way you want that, is so when the carriage goes up, it's gonna ratchet like this. And then when we hook the cables all up, you'll see in a minute, this will pull open. That's how we're gonna open up our locks to release it for it to go down. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and talk. On the top, we've got 2 pulleys we're going to put on here for our cable to run. And then on the top of this column, we have a bracket that's going to mount like this to our 2 holes up at the top of the column. And this is a wheel that the top of our cable runs on, as well as the 2 go here. My assistant will run up there and hook that up. Okay, so what we're going to do at this point is we're attaching this cable to this bolt that's sticking out. There's a looped end. You're going to attach that over the outside. You're going to go around this pulley underneath of it, and it's going to go up, and you'll see at the top there's a pulley at the very top of the column. It goes around that, follows across over here where my assistant is. He's hooking it to the top of the other pulley, and then it's routing down the inside of the column on this side. Okay, now we have routed our cable through to this column. We put on our pulley down here at the bottom. So what we're going to do is put this around the pulley. We're going to open up our lock, bring our loop to this bolt. This has an adjustment here, so you will run your cable through and then get your adjustment to where the lock is you just get the tension to where it's up against the column, and then you'll tighten this up. You're going to have excess cable. Take a pair of dikes, cut off a piece here. The only time you might need to adjust it after a while will be tightening it. So leave you about 6 inches of cable when you cut it for extra. But this will now, I'll walk over and open the locks and you'll see how this activates this. Okay. So when I pull the locks open on this side, that disengages that side as well. When I let go, they go all the way back and locks. That's the way you want the lock to set. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to raise this collar up till it hits the first lock on both sides. Then we have access to our pulleys below and we'll route our cables. So we're going to raise this up. You'll hear it click onto the first lock. Just like that. Come over to the other side, do the same thing. Just like that. Now you can see that we have access to our pulleys down here at the bottom, and now we'll route our cables through and get that all routed and put them on our pulleys. Okay, so now we're at the point we're going to route the cables through the carriage and up and over the crossarm. Now once I've got it fed through that slot in the bottom, I'm going to put a washer on and then 2 nuts. I'm going to go ahead and take this one down to where we have about a 1/2 inch showing of threads. Put this on, go back through, feed it down to where it's on the bottom of the carriage now on that bolt. Now we're going to run our cable around the pulley. We have a pulley cover here that's just on with a bolt. Just like so. Now we're around the pulley. Now we're going to feed this cable back up through. This is going to fit on the top here, give you enough slack so you can make your cable go through here. When you're up here on the top, there are a couple of little spacers welded across that you need to make sure you run them cables underneath of as you're going across the top of the top cap. So we'll do that now. I'll move the ladder and push those through till we get to the other side of the pulley. This cable is going to come down and go through this welded on bracket, this hole, and then we're going to put the nut and washer right over there on this carriage right here. Shaft, put the washer on, and then we can put a nut on. Okay, just like so. So what we've got, this one is running to the top of the carriage on this side. On the opposite side, it's running around the pulley and hooks to the bottom of the carriage. So now we're going to do the same with this one. We're going to route that cable up through the bottom, put our nuts on it, pull it through, go around the pulley at the bottom, go up and across to the other side.
Got it, sir. It took me 15 tries.
Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap that around there, put back on our pulley guard. That keeps that cable on so you don't have to worry about it ever coming off. And there you go. Now we're going to route this up and around and back over to the other side. Okay, so we have our lock cover. We're going to put that on. It's just got some Phillips screwdrivers. You want to double washer it so that it doesn't stick through the column, because that's where your carriage comes up, and if it sticks out too far, it's going to hit that carriage. Okay, at this point we're hooking up our hydraulic hose to the bottom of the cylinder. On the very bottom of that cylinder rod, there's a port, threaded port, that you're going to take your fitting and you'll put some thread tape on the end of that fitting, because it's a pipe thread fitting, and put it into the cylinder. Tighten it up. You'll notice when you get this cylinder, it's wrapped in tape. There's a red plug, plastic plug on it, and it's wrapped around tape. You have to cut that off and pull it out. As soon as you pull that plug, you're going to have a little oil coming out, and that's okay. But then go ahead and put in your extension fitting, and then you have the pipe, the hose is about 4 foot long with an angle at the bottom. Hook that up. It comes up here, and you'll see we'll connect that to a T here in a minute. This is the port that we're going to put. I got thread tape on here, and we're going to take out the plug, and then we're going to put this in and screw it down tight. And then this will stick out so that we can put a fitting on the outside of it. Now we're going to hook up the hydraulic hose to the off side, the non-power unit side. So once again, we have our port. We put our port in. We've taken the hose, hooked up. It's got a 90-degree elbow on it. We've hooked that up and tightened it up. We wrapped our hose around this. And then on this side over here, we have some little conduit clips that bolt to the column and hold the hose to that. And there's a couple more as it goes up, and then we go across the beam and then down and hook to our power unit on this side. Need a 14. Now we have mounted our power unit to the post. There's 4 screws to this bracket. You'll tighten that up with a 13mm wrench. And then you'll see that we've got a port here on the side of our power unit that I've tightened up, put our 90-degree fitting on here, tighten that down. It comes over to we have a T that's connecting our the over-the-top hose from our bottom of the cylinder to the port of the power unit. So you'll tighten all these up here with a T, and then you'll take your clips like we have on the top here to hold this hose. We will mount them here and here to keep this out of the way. And then we'll have everything routed. We'll put oil in it, and that part is done. Okay, now you'll notice that we've got a bracket here that we're going to mount to our post. It's 2 Phillips head screws that go in and mount it solid. What it does, it's a handy place to keep your stack-on adapters, keeps them from being on the floor where you might step on them. Okay, the way these locks work is that when the lift goes down, you have these lock arms that's got a gear and 2 gear splines, so it hooks in together. So when the lift goes down, the bottom of these pins will hit this base plate. When that happens, it pushes this up, clears this gear from here, lets the arm swing. When you go up, then this is spring loaded, it goes down and locks that. So when you have your car on the lift, and it gets bumped and you're up in the air, the arms cannot swing, and it keeps it nice and safe on your lift. Look at that. My pin fell out here.
Didn't get you, did it?
Nope. We're just about done. We've put on the arms like we told you a second ago. Now, as you raise the carriage up, we have a micro switch that we've installed up here that's going to be a stop. If the carriage goes too high, it hits the micro switch, cuts the power to the motor. As well as we have one at the very top up here to when the car is on the lift, you go up. If a car hits the pipe in the top, hits this micro switch, shuts it off so you're not hitting your car. We've installed that. That wires directly to the power unit. The next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to adjust the lift so that you hear the locks click at the same time. Just like you do on a 4-post lift, how you have to level it, same thing with this 2-post. So you're going to raise it up and you'll hear the locks click, 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 click as it goes up the ladder locks. If you hear one, like let's say the left one here is clicking first, and this one is just behind it a little bit, then what you're going to do is you're going to come over here with this cable and you're going to tighten this one up a little bit, try it again, and then you should even out. So this one will raise. If this was the lower one, I tighten this one up, that's going to raise it up, and then you'll try it again and you'll hear the clicks. You want them just to be click, click, so that you hear both of them almost at the same time. It is an asymmetrical lift, meaning it has the short arms in the front, offsets, so it makes it easier to open the door. As you can see, with this truck on here, I can open the door and it's behind the column. Easy to get in and out of. Versus symmetric lift, you have to center your load, meaning that door would be opening up right into the middle of the post. It is 10,000 pound in capacity. It's got truck adapters that we're using right now, as you see, so that we don't have to run into our step running boards. You put your truck adapters on there so you can still lift from the frame without having plenty of clearance for your running board as well. It works off of a 220 power unit. It has a single point lock release. So from right here, I can open up both sides to lower the unit. So if I was going to raise the unit up, I've got this powered up. It's setting on the locks right now. So I could raise it up. Once it comes off the locks, I can hold my locks open, and now I'm able to go down with my unit. If I wanted to go back to the locks, if I want to go back up, I have to actually run the button again. You'll hear the lock click when it gets to the next lock, just like that. Now I'm going to set it down onto the lock point, and it'll rest on the locking point. That's at a time where your hydraulics are unloaded, your cylinders are free, you're setting on the steel locks on the inside of the carriage. It's safe to be under there and work on it. We have locking arms so that once it's on there, the arms are locked. So if I am pushing from the backside or gets bumped, I don't have to worry about the arms moving because they're locked in place. When the lift goes all the way down, it'll hit a release button on the very bottom. Unlocks those so you can swing your arms out to drive the vehicle off. Makes it really handy. Thanks for watching our instructional video on our 2-post. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to give us a call. We'll be glad to help you out. Thanks for choosing Advantage Lifts.